Welcome back to Franchising Stronger Together. I'm your host, Red Boswell, president of the International Franchise Professionals Group, IFPG. We're joined today by two great friends, two leaders, two influencers in franchising. Good friend Jason Barclay, partner with BrandOne, and the man who needs no introduction as well, Michael Mudd, also partner and president of BrandOne. Michael Mudd, welcome to the call today.
Thank you, Red. Hey, before we dive into anything, I just want to say thank you to you personally for everything you've done in the community of franchising, man. We've been watching your videos and you're bringing together great thought leaders and bringing together best practices, and it's really helping, I think, the community as a whole get better, get stronger, implement new systems, new ideas. So thanks for all the work you've done, man. We've been looking at your videos and it's been a huge help for us at BrandOne.
Awesome. Well, it's a blessing. I love doing it. I get to go deeper with friends, and we get to share and give back. You know, franchising is it's a big multi-billion-dollar industry, but it is a small community. And Don came up with the idea of hashtag franchising stronger together. And the COVID crisis, we launched it with that in mind. But now as we're kind of transitioning out of that going forward, I don't see this stopping. And I see it being a best practices sharing kind of community. And so we changed the name slightly to Franchising Stronger Together using that hashtag. And man, it took me too long to get to you guys. So I'm honored that y'all are on here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I know Michael's in SoCal. I don't know where Jason is. So let's first talk. Michael, how you doing? How's the family? Safe, secure, healthy?
Well, we're in Southern California, which is going to be locked down, I think, until mid-July or something. But the family, for us, we've been really healthy. Everyone in our inner business circle has been healthy. So we're incredibly blessed. For me personally, anyone who knows me knows I'm very rooted in my family. So the one who I think is the most impacted in my inner circle, family circle, is my wife, Christine, who's been just the rock that's held us together. Piper, my daughter, she's now almost 9. She's been virtual, so virtual classroom, and my daughter's been leading her through basically online learning and teaching at home. So that's been probably the biggest thing. Other than that, just keeping headspace that's been positive. Routine, getting fitness in. So there's a lot of things we're doing just to establish discipline, making sure that we maintain routine and that we maintain overall a positive headspace.
Hey, well, I got a confession. So back at the IFA in February, when the world was a little more sane and maybe safe, you and I sat together at the prayer breakfast, right? And so they towards the end, were bow your heads for prayer. Well, the dude wasn't bringing around coffee. I was a little bit needing that second cup. So while you were praying, I may or may not have taken your coffee. That's not, you're not supposed to steal it at any time, but certainly not at a prayer breakfast.
Well, hey, whatever it takes, Red. I'm here to serve, bud.
Now you know what happened to the coffee. All right, but Jason, where are you? How you doing?
Yeah, thank you very much. Charlotte, North Carolina is home for me and my family, and we've been nestled in the house, actually just enjoying the family, as Michael said. I'm blessed to have a 2.5-year-old and a wonderful wife that's actually on the front lines of the virus. She's a CRNA at the hospital uptown, but we're fortunate enough that we've been able to get out a lot with my son. The weather's been nice in Charlotte. We've also spent a good bit of time on or behind a boat on the lake. So we've been doing it as much as we can, but also business-wise, keeping a positive attitude that we will get through this together. And BrandOne, the team, we talk to our brand partners all the time, and it's a positive attitude. I think that's very key right now, is keep a positive attitude and keep moving. So I will remember your story that you stole Michael's coffee, because I remember getting him one directly after that for a meeting. So,
whoops.
And it's even better knowing that we were sitting at the front table with Ken and Vicky Walker and some other folks. So nice move. That was great.
Well, I was just feeling guilty the whole time. Holy Spirit working on me. Hey, I didn't know you were in Charlotte. So we're doing Lord willing, we're doing a big regional event in Charlotte, July 30th. So we'll have to connect on that. And going out on the lake. My whole family's going on the lake today, and I'm sitting in here working. So, somebody's got to bring bring home the bacon, as the wife says. So guys, we're out of time now. Thank you for sharing. No. All right, let's get into the topic. So you represent, if I'm thinking right, is eight brands? You got any?
7 brands.
7 brands. Okay. It was 6 what I was thinking, and you just added another. All right, so that's a lot to talk about, how those brands have been impacted, and then how the Zors that y'all represent have responded. So, man, I'll just throw it wide open. How have they been impacted? Who's first?
Jason, I'll let you take it, and then I'll have some comments there too.
All right, great. I'm a brand leader on 2 of our brands. That one's in Charlotte called Ivy Brook Academy. It's a half-day progressive preschool model, which I'll hit. And then I'll also hit on Clean Eats, which is out of Wilmington, North Carolina. It's a meal prep cafe concept, which is deemed, both of those are still open and operating, which is where the franchisees, the founders, us, we're blessed to have that situation. But Ivy Brook would be a neat one, right? Because you think about children going into a half-day preschool, COVID comes, changes the world for their model. Right away, I got to give a lot of credit to Drew and Jennifer McWilliams, the founders. They got to it quickly. We pretty much went to a virtual curriculum within a week. I mean, it was amazing how quick, with their leadership and their staff, they were able to do so. And it's a tight-knit community around our schools as well. Actually, my son goes to Ivy Brook Academy, so it's kind of nice that I see it on both sides of the coin. But, even watching his curriculum go from him being excited to go to the physical place to now, just yesterday, my wife and I were on with him and his teacher to watch how that worked. And what's interesting is because they adapted quickly, they did not lose a lot of their base. At their own location, literally 7 or 8% is all they lost as far as enrolled students, which is pretty impressive when you really think about what changed. So I commend Ivy Brook for being able to go to the virtual environment, and that's a great example of somebody adapting under the circumstances. They also help their franchisees with financing, PPP financing, and getting that in, getting on the front of it, what to do, how to do it. And again, let's be all happy that we have somebody like the IFA that helps the franchise community, because we wouldn't be able to do it without their organization. But it filters down even to the benefit of the franchisees and candidly to the consumer that comes into Ivy Brook. So that was special. Another great concept that we have is called Clean Eats out of Wilmington. 40 some locations open, another 30 in development. Their model was already fortunate that they get a lot of their revenue from meal plans, weekly meal plans that are provided for the convenience and health of the customers, and also frozen grab and go meals. So that takeout and curbside delivery was still able to benefit that consumer in the market with shortages at the supermarket, not wanting the contact, that sort of thing. That business still churning 70 to 75% of pre-COVID revenue across the base. So yes, we did move some marketing dollars into grab and go and meal plans versus in dining cafe, which was quick to do and beneficial for the brand. But both of those brands, again, we're very blessed that haven't had huge issues with COVID. But again, we all know that if you're anything low versus where we were before, takes profitability out of the business.
Absolutely. And I would think there's a significant pivot there. They're bringing it out to the car, a lot more pickup, nobody eating inside, and everybody's eating at home today. So that's a huge opportunity for Clean Eats to really meet a big need. Now, I'm really curious about franchise development, but we'll hit that at the end of this conversation. Michael, how about your brands?
So I manage a variety of brands too. And what's interesting about BrandOne is we're in a lot of different segments. We're in a lot of different industries, some of which are deemed essential and some are not. They're across the board. Our brands have been working on projects, and we're talking projects that have been on the shelf or ideas that they wanted to bring to market. So I think everyone's been tooling up. They're refining their systems. They're refining their processes or ideas. One brand I would just like to highlight, though, is Raw Juice, which we just started working with them. They're a brand out of South Florida. They have 9 locations in the organic, cold press market, and they've done a brilliant job. So one, they're deemed essential, so they haven't closed. They actually went to work in the community, and that's all they focused on. They actually teamed up with the House of Athlete, who was a guy, Brandon Marshall, for those of you guys who watch football. He started this nonprofit, and they worked with him. They're doing 100,000 meals. They're nourishing the front lines of their hospital community. So they invested in a mobile unit, and they've deployed their support into the community, and they're giving 100,000 meals to the front lines. So every week, these guys are out there they're nourishing and giving juice and healthy food to these folks on the front line. In fact, our virtual discovery day, which we just hosted, we brought that in. So multiple times we were out there live showing our candidates that, hey, this is what we're up to today. So our brands have been looking for ways to give back. That's across the board. We also work with Manhattan Pizza. They're giving back to the community. They're feeding, literally picking up from the food distribution at the restaurant is overloaded with food. So they're taking food and then distributing it in food banks right in their store concept. So a lot of our brands are trying to support the community in unique ways. A lot of our brands are still essential, so they're still operating. Junk Luggers, another great concept. Junk Luggers never closed down and is very viable today because people are at home and they're purging everything. They're cleaning out closets, they're cleaning out kitchens, and they're just creating junk piles that need to get picked up. So we started a curbside pickup for them, and they're coming and picking up everyone's products. And they're a green junk removal company. They recycle and repurpose a lot of the products they're picking up. So it's been interesting, right? I'll tell you, watching what people are doing and being smart and strategic and giving back to the community is really what our brands, the cornerstone of our brands have been. So.
Wow. And so you guys, you're an FSO, franchise sales organization. You lead the charge for the franchisors, really owning their development. Do you also, and this is just, I really don't know, does BrandOne also do any of the operations, or you have intimate knowledge in how the operations have pivoted to support their franchisees out in the field?
You know what, let me start there, and I would like to hear Jason to get some comments on this too. But we are, so in the traditional sense, we're an FSO, but we're just set up way differently than a traditional FSO. So we're pretty unique in the way we structure. So when we work with a brand, we take a client and then we look at what they have and what's missing. And a lot of times they're missing franchise support systems, and they need a marketing team, they need construction management, they need a real estate team. So we can plug in. We have a combined 140 years of experience among our partners, and we've worked with really anyone in the industry. So we work with our team of suppliers, and we can fill in what they're missing because we want to create world-class brands. And to do that, they need world-class systems. So we help them build the systems that are missing. And then we also do a lot more. We do process design. So a brand needs an awesome development process. And that's really the pixie dust if you think about it. You can put a skilled developer, but if they don't have a process, the developer is going to be less effective. So we work on the process design, we work on lead generation, which we take a diverse approach, which is very different too. We love consultants, right? Obviously we worked with you guys and we get a huge benefit. All of our brands are working with you. The IFPG is amazing, as well as a bunch of other consulting groups, but we're diverse in it. We take leads from our Rolodex. We take leads from digital campaigns. We are talking with a new client right now that's doing a conversion program. And so it's diverse in how we generate our leads. We're strategic. And I would say one more big thing about us is the partners work the leads. We don't hire teams that work the front end of the process. So ultimately, Michael Mudd, Jason Barclay, Kurt Landwehr, Peter Barkman, Dave Schaefer's, Angie Shaw. These are folks that I'm the least experienced in our team in terms of tenure. I've been doing this for 15 years. The rest of the team, 20 and 30 years. They're the ones working the leads, calling raw leads, literally from scratch to bring them through the process. So I think what's unique about it is it's a diverse skill set of experience that is brought together to solve a problem. So if you think about development as a problem, you have different industries, and the FDD, it's storytelling in a very compelling way with that kind of diversity and skill set. That's why people like it. It's a unique way to develop a brand with an incredible amount of talent and experience on the front line.
Well, Michael, you just reminded me, 2 or 3 years back, you and I were at one of the many conferences we would hang out at. It was on the beach, probably Cancun, and where you and I had probably an hour conversation around your forte, and you love building systems and processes and accountabilities. And I felt like I found my business soulmate. I was just like, me too. Oh my gosh, me too. Me too. And I'm like, we can never work together because we love doing the same thing. But anyway, it's obvious that that's your strength. Kurt, Jason, what about you? What are your insights on the operational side of the business? How much influence and any insights about what the brands are doing to support their franchisees?
Well, I mean, I think first of all, we work hand in hand with the founders or the presidents of all our brands. So it's way more than just development, right? Development's just one piece of a successful organization. So we know, I work hand in hand with operations teams, marketing teams, candidly accounting. Sometimes they don't have, that's my background, right, is accounting. So the numbers side of the business, they might not have reporting down to where they need to be, or might not have the right resources. We're able to help them. But operation wise, again, I just kind of hitting back the examples that we did, the big change at Clean Eats was marketing, right? And then the protocol on, and you mentioned it, curbside versus somebody coming in, cleaning protocols. Obviously, in a food business, that's a huge piece. So their operations team went and implemented that and helped franchisees get through that the first couple of weeks as far as COVID. Now it's staying with those systems and procedures throughout this change. Where again, Ivybrook was more operationally was, hey guys, here we go. We're switching to virtual. Here's how we're going to do it. We'll move the curriculum for you, meaning for the franchisees, but your teachers and your administrators need to execute in a virtual environment versus, in the actual academy. But that's kind of give you an idea of what we're doing to help our brands keep ahead of what's to come.
And any more insights from let's start with Michael on communicating the new processes and the best practices, pulling them from the franchise community and disseminating them to the franchise community. Has that changed? Has it ramped up a bunch? What's that new world look like?
Well, my perspective on it is communication has become way more important, and the way we're communicating is differently. So I would say in our process with candidates, we used to be largely phone-based. We would have a lot of phone conversations, and we switched to Zoom and having video interfacing. So the candidate interaction has become more meaningful. It's more, you connect with people earlier in the process. And I think you have to over-communicate expectations. You have to over-communicate how to access different systems and things to make sure that candidates are over-prepared. And that's something that's new. In disseminating information, we've always had a lot of automation in the process where we're disseminating to candidates with emails and text automation and a lot of video work. And there's a lot of stuff we're disseminating, which we continue to do in our process. But the way our direct interaction has changed, much more about video interaction, and that's early in the process, not just out of discovery day.
Interesting. And I'm going to jump back on FranDev here in a minute because I'm super curious what that looks like for you. Jason, any further insights on communication, the technology being used that a franchisor could benefit from learning from?
Yeah, I think you keep jumping back more to the operations side, or franchisors helping franchisees. So just what I've witnessed with our brands is, again, I don't know of one of our brands that aren't communicating with their franchisee base at least once a week, literally once a week. And a lot of them, Ivybrook in particular, they were talking to because it's a smaller group. There's 7 open every day to help their franchisees. And again, as Michael mentioned, using Zoom platforms, shareable Google Docs and Dropbox. I mean, all that kind of stuff is pretty common these days. But I think it's the frequency of the conversations, and then also the accountability of here's what you need to do. And I'm thinking more of kind of the the loan situation where it's, did you do this? Did you do this? So it's almost like you took a project management role and moving people through the process to determine how to get from A to Z is what I've seen.
This reminds me of why we're in franchising. I mean, that has got to be one heck of a lonely island out there if you're not a franchisee. You're a mom and pop, you're an individual sole proprietor running a business out by yourself, wondering, is the world falling apart? What do I do? How do I utilize, take advantage of the government support? Yeah, franchising is really more important than ever. The support structures in place. Okay, let's get on a hot topic, Fran Dev. 2 pieces to that topic, by the way. Let's first hit what has happened to the candidates that were in process already when COVID hit. Have they disappeared? Have they paused? Have they been awarded? And then we can talk new pipeline and what that looks like and maybe even some predictions. Jason, how about you?
Good. Yeah, well, on a general sense, is obviously COVID came in and it brought a new level of fear and anxiety into everyone, and not just people that want to become franchisees or get out of corporate America or whatever they want to do, just society is in general, right? So on the franchise pipeline, we've continued to do transactions with every one of our brands, but it's a harder transaction because of the fear factor. And we really need to help that prospective franchisee, one, understand what is the fear? Is it real? Is it not? What's the timing of us coming out of this? And how does that interject with when they would actually open their business? Some of our clients, Canine Resorts is a great example. It's a wonderful business up in New Jersey, 11 or 12 open, another 30 to 40 in development. Typically that cycle from the time somebody says, I want to do it, and they're awarded a license to opening would be an 18 to 24 months, right? So, I mean, that's something where guys get ahead of it. The real estate is going to be softer. You're going to have more opportunity. Now's the time to commit, knowing that we will get out of this and on the back end. And that's a business that we're dealing with dogs where we can easily do curbside service and that sort of thing. So literally we can get our way back into it. But
and that's an essential as well, right? I mean, Canine Resorts has actually been deemed, if I'm thinking correctly, that an essential service.
Yeah, in some markets, yes. So it kind of depends on the state. But we know we have one close to me here in South Carolina that's still open, still doing well, which is interesting. But they're not letting customers come in. Again, kind of getting to more like the vet business. Call us when you're outside. We'll come out and get the dog. That kind of deal. Okay. So I think, that's something that I've seen change. But as far as people that are in the pipeline, yeah, we've lost some. I mean, everybody. I was just on the phone with one of our perceived competitors in the industry literally before this call. And we were talking, it's like, hey, the fear factor's out there. And I think you have to just understand that's the case. And really, it's okay, right? Some people are going to say it's not right for me right now. And I think a good developer will say, we get it. When it changes, when you want to come back, let's re-engage, and then we'll be able to fast forward this because you've already done your research. So I think that's the case. But Michael, you have some thoughts on this as well. Do you mind chatting?
Yeah, I almost think that there was 2 parts to your question, Red. So if I take the first part, which is our existing pipeline coming into COVID-19, and we had robust pipelines across the board, and there was a lot of unintended situations that were occurring. So we went into problem solving. And I'll tell you, things like force majeure clauses, opening timetables within franchise agreements, those all had to be thought through and adjusted. We also had, I was working an E2 visa candidate, and the Mexican embassy closed and he couldn't get his E2 visa. So he wanted to postpone. And then Trump was passing immigration reform. There's a lot of things that you just don't think through. PPP lending. We had a candidate that was going to an individual, like a private bank, to get an SBA loan, and then they stopped SBA funding to focus on PPP lending. So these are just things that yes, the number one devil right now for development is anxiety. If you don't address candidate anxiety, you need to address that early. You need to address it often. And if you're working with a great franchise consultant, IFPG, have them work the back end to address that issue. That has never been, those that can deal with anxiety will win as a developer. if people negate it or deflect it or don't have the real conversations that have to happen early, they're going to have challenges on the when they ask for closing or moving forward into a franchise. So that
Michael, do you remember talking about the devil that we're dealing with today, anxiety? 3 months ago, 3 years ago, what was the devil that got in the way of almost every deal? The job market.
yeah.
I mean, flip-flop, that ain't a problem anymore, baby. And that was the biggest problem so many of us encountered on a daily basis, losing great candidates to a wonderful job. And now we are blessed with not having to deal with that, and hopefully being a blessing to folks that are in the need of a job replacement opportunity, such as a franchise. Anxiety's still there. Anxiety's bigger than ever now, so we have to deal with that. But the franchise development folks adapting, learning, showing empathy, but also showing a soft strength through the process can make it such a big deal. Okay, I interrupted you. What about Fran Deb?
So pace and timing is going to be critical. I was just thinking that, and as you're mentioning that, finding the pace that your candidate is on. What's their timetable? What's their buying need? Like, why are they talking to you? Identifying that, and then matching up the right timetable within your process, because some candidates might be intersecting your process at a different buying stage than other candidates. So you need to find out a way. You have to pace them at the right pace, not try to force them to make a decision if they're not ready. But identifying that early is important. Now, what I think is happening, and this goes right back to what you said, is the job market. We have so many displaced people today that are looking to do something different. So I think the candidate pool will get bigger. And I think that's going to benefit everybody in franchising. Our candidate pool will get bigger. People are looking for solutions to their problem, and we in franchising have that solution. So it's intersecting them in a process that's going to help them make an informed decision and address the anxiety to get them over the curve right now. Now that all these candidates might move forward and then stop because they're afraid to move forward. So you have to give them reasons to move forward and help them understand the benefits of doing it when the market's down. When is the right time to buy anything, Red? Right? When it's down, not when it's up. So everyone, the psychology is they want to buy when it's up, but that's not the right time to buy. Right now, getting real estate, there's SBA lending options with forgiveness on loans. There's a lot of reasons why you would want to move forward today and not wait for tomorrow, but those all need to be pointed out to our candidates.
Okay, so I heard you say an interesting one. The franchise candidate pool, our lead flow, our pipeline will get bigger. Let's talk about that. February, month of May. What do you see the differences on volume, quality, financial wherewithal? What's the difference? You got a bunch of brands you can speak to, but as a general rule, February versus May, what's the difference?
Jason, go ahead on that one.
Okay, good. The numbers guy gets a hard question, right? So I would say that lead flow is probably 50 to 60% of where we were. I do not see, or I do not feel that candidate strength is down. I don't see that, because again, I think that the number of people that are looking at us that literally work with an organization like yourself that's been pre-qualified and they're ready to do something, or at least ready to do the research. I don't think the quality has changed. If anything, it's just as strong, maybe even a tad bit stronger. But the general consensus of how many we got is a smaller funnel, just because of that fear and anxiety. Some people said, listen to, whether it be a consultant or even organic that we might have reached out to, hey, I'm interested, but I need 3 months. I need to know what's going on. I need to feel more comfortable. And that's what compressed that number of leads. At least that's my gut. Michael?
No, I think that's the case too, Red. I know that from our peak, we're down in terms of candidates in the process, but the candidates we're working with are really, really good. It's for us identifying. I think it's important to do two things. One, hold everyone accountable as just work the fundamentals. Really, anyone who's in development knows there's fundamental action items that have to occur. But if you work the fundamentals, address things early, address the elephant in the room, you will be successful in this time. The virtual platform, even discovery days, have been very effective for us. We haven't seen conversion rates that are falling off. We just have less people coming in the funnel by a margin. I personally think that that's going in the short term here. We're talking a month, maybe. I think that there will be more candidates entering the funnel. So those franchisors that are figuring it out, that have the right teams in place and have the right processes in place will win, because they'll have a disparity of those leads and they'll be able to convert them in an effective way. So I think right now, tool up, work your processes, work your projects, get your stuff refined, because in the next 30 days, I think we're loosening up. People are starting to stretch their legs and they're starting to have less distraction. I think what's happening is there's so much distraction happening right now. It's hard to stay focused on any objective, whether it's family distraction, your kids are at home, they weren't at home. There's a lot of things to distract you today. So
There are, and you know what we're seeing? So we're on the very front end of that pipeline, that funnel, right? And we're tracking closely. The easiest metric that I have access to is territory checks. That consultant, 570 of them out there, finding a lead, checking with the ZOR to see if that territory is available, which is a precursor to an introduction, to a discovery day, to a deal. And we saw a huge 36% increase in a recent 15-day period compared to the average 15-day period for the rest of this, first half of the year. That was a huge encouragement for us. And we're also seeing, as I talk to ZORs all over the place, probably a dozen a day, I'm seeing a little bit faster close, a little bit shorter pipeline process for folks who have come into process after COVID really hit. Now, there's plenty of folks that were scared and have put on pause that were in process already. It's been really a bit surprising and, again, encouraging to see the candidates having a little less risk, a little more risk tolerance, because they're coming into the franchise discovery process during a crisis. So it just, by definition, they tend to be a little more risk tolerant, that they're willing to jump into a process. And a lot of those folks also are seeing, they're seeing what you just said, Michael, which is real estate's good. There's going to be a big pent-up demand coming. I want to be open. I want to be at least close to being open. I want to be ready for that huge pent-up demand in certain sectors. So I'm with you. There's the future is bright, at least in franchising.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, we're wrapping up. This has been fantastic, and I bet it's been my longest interview yet. Jason first, any closing comments? Wide open question. Any encouragement, any predictions, anything else franchisors could benefit from?
Yeah. First of all, Red, thank you again for the opportunity. Thank IFPG. Second, guys, I would say that through the IFA, through your friends, through your colleagues, through your competitors, we will get through this. We will come out of it better. And like Michael said, this is a great time to sharpen the sword, put together, get your updates, do what you need to do so that when folks are looking at franchise opportunities in the future and they're comfortable with moving forward, you have a better process, you have a more transparent process, and you're able to help them make that decision. I think we're in good shape. I'm sorry, I'm a positive person on this aspect, that we will get through this and we'll do it together. So that's my closing thing, is we all work together and help that community. That why franchising is there in the first place is helping people get out of corporate America, deliver a good or service to their community, and do it with a proven business model.
Amen. I preach that all day long. Michael?
When I fly on airplanes, which I used to do a lot of that, they always said, first thing you do is put the oxygen mask on yourself, and then you can help your family or your friends, right? So I think it starts with the individual. If I could give somebody advice, I would say, first thing is make sure your own headspace is right. And gratitude, making a list of things you're grateful for every day. Getting a routine established that allows you to stay focused on yourself and stay positive for yourself. Do something that brings you joy, whatever that is. For me, I'm a CrossFitter, so not having that community that I connect to was a big thing for me. It's tough for me to stay focused in my own head. I get to a point where I get off tangent. So I reel it back in and I just do the fundamentals. But when you work on yourself, then you can go and impact the rest of the world. You can impact your franchisees. You can impact your own organization. But it starts with those who lead. You've got to be right to yourself before you can fix other people. So that would be my big thing. Also, I want to say again, Brett, thank you. for everything you're doing. You're disseminating a lot of information out there. I think as a community, it's helpful for us to share and to help with best practices. I've seen a lot of people out there that are putting content out that help people. And that's what's great about franchising. We work together in our own individual systems, but we work together as a community as a whole. So anyway, that's my parting comments, Fred. I appreciate everything you're doing for franchising in general.
Absolutely. And you as well. You guys have been a real blessing to a lot of franchise professionals out there today. Jason Barclay, partner with BrandOne, and Michael Mudd, partner president with BrandOne. Thank you so much for joining Franchising Stronger Together with Red Boswell from IFPG. We appreciate you guys and hope to see you in person real soon.
Likewise, Red. Thank you, bud.